Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you wanted to join me today because today we're going to talk about how you can become a successful thrift shopper. I see comments on my thrift related videos all the time that concerns different kinds of problems and issues one may have with secondhand shopping and how it does not work for one reason or another. I want to go through some of these issues and problems and tell you guys how I personally solve them, and perhaps this video will be useful for you. I stopped buying fast fashion about 3 years ago and I haven't bought anything from stores like Topshop, Urban Outfitters, H&M, Bestseller. There's a lot. Forever 21, Zara, the list goes on and on. If you can think of a popular, very widespread mainstream fashion store, it's probably fast fashion. Fast fashion is not only a really unsustainable industry, but it's also widely unethical and it treats its workers really poorly. So this is why I dedicate a lot of my content to talking about thrift shopping, secondhand shopping and boycotting fast fashion. So let's do this. It is possible that some of these tips feel or seem or are inconvenient or impossible even for you, and for that I am truly sorry. Thrifting may require a little bit more time than just going out to a store and buying fast fashion, and vintage shopping can often be a tad more expensive. So there is a notion of privilege that I think it's also really important to address in this situation, and that I am completely aware exists. Fast fashion is an absolutely horrible industry, but this video is not meant to bash anyone who cannot afford or do not have the time to actually put in the work and boycott fast fashion and find the alternatives. I do hope that you will find some inspiration in here anyway, but I know that it's not possible to everyone. And I talked to someone in a comment thread at one point and she explained to me that she had 2 or 3 jobs and she did not have the time to go look for items in a thrift shop, and I completely get that, or I know that that's something that exists, and in that regard I'm quite privileged because that's not my situation. But I do hope that even though it seems impossible, that you will give it your absolute best try, and it may not be perfect, but that's completely okay, because as long as you're doing your best. That's just what I wanted to say as well. Wow, okay, let's get on to the tips. So the first tip is related to this notion of time and spending time on it. But my tip is seriously, go as often as you can. I often hear people saying they never have anything in this size or never anything in this style, and it's different, and of course it varies from area to area and thrift shop to thrift shop. But one of the key things here is going as often as you can, because then you will be able to pick up the items before anyone else does. So yeah, if you're having trouble finding certain sizes or certain colors, going often will definitely help you in that regard. Being a little bit handy is also, well, handy. If you're ready to alter something or mend something or fix something, it's possible that you're going to have more success with thrift shopping, because stuff that's donated is often broken, like the zipper's broken, or maybe there's a hole in something. I mean, being able to fix it yourself at home and then have a great piece of clothing is actually quite neat, and being able to alter something if something is too big or too small can also be quite handy. I have bought several shirts where it seems like the reason they were donated was because a button was missing, and then I just found another button in the thrift shop and I sewed it on, it was fine. So stuff like that is also really simple, but it can be really handy. Try to look both in the men's and in the women's section. Lots of clothes are by nature unisex, like t-shirts and socks, and just generally a lot of clothing can be worn by either men or women. I wear a lot of men's shirts, for instance, and I love that. But sometimes stuff are also just misplaced and miscategorized, and that way you will find something no one else was looking for in this particular section, so that can be quite good. I think I say this all the time, but look for quality, because synthetic materials can often break really easily, and also they retain microplastic. So if you look for something like good old-fashioned cotton, then you can also fix it if it breaks, but the chances are that it will break less easy. Location is a real thing, you guys. You wouldn't expect there to be good and bad thrift shops, but depending on the area of it, there can be good or bad thrift shops. And I like to go out to parts of the city where I don't necessarily live and find stuff there. Especially if there are like wealthy areas in your town or in your city, going to those thrift shops will actually usually get you better deals because people donate more quality stuff. Also, in context of location, I usually go to thrift shops whenever I'm out of town and on vacation. I try to hit up local vintage shops and thrift shops because the things people donate are usually quite different from what they donate at home. So yeah, it's quite good an opportunity to sort of scour other kinds of donations, which is pretty cool. There are also different shops for different needs. Sometimes I see that people go into thrift shops the way that they would have gone into a fast fashion store. Like people go into a thrift shop because they need a grey t-shirt, and chances are that you're not necessarily going to find a grey t-shirt just by looking for it in one shop. And that will lead to like the first issue with they never have blank. Because we look for things in thrift shops like we would look for things in a normal store. And it's not necessarily the best way to go about it. So whenever I need something really specific, I find a vintage shop because they're usually a bit more organized. They have like a more stable selection of things because things are handpicked. And if I'm going into a thrift shop, I'm going into a thrift shop with an open mind and not looking for anything in particular. That usually helps, and also it makes me feel super good and really surprised and happy whenever I find something that's really, really good. So, I mean, yeah, you can go look for specific stuff in thrift shops, but I usually find that not being too specific really, really helps the overall experience. I hope that you could use some of these tips. If you have more tips for thrift shopping and secondhand shopping, then leave them down below and let's share with each other. That's usually really, really helpful, and I love when you guys do that. So thank you so much for watching this video. I'm going to film another video now, which will be up sometime after this video, which is going to be all the stuff that I bought thrifted for this summer and generally throughout May and June. So that's going to happen now. I'm going to film that now, and that will be up sometime as well. So yeah, see you guys in a bit. Thank you so much for watching this video, and also a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys help me create green zero waste content, and I love you guys. You can find the links to my social media accounts down below and the link to my Patreon on this screen. Bye!